Then they clinched the division against the Cardinals, and then Lou rested all his players, or did a rotation of resting his players, and there was some internal second-guessing, Paxton, in that some of the people within the organization felt that Lou rested them too much, and he gave away that final game in Milwaukee, where the Brewers had to win that game to get into the playoffs. I think Lou had to play it straight in that game, play his regulars. He used that as a bullpen day for his staff, but he should have known that the Dodgers, by that point, the word had filtered east, the Dodgers were a dangerous team sparked by Manny Ramirez that you don't want to play in the playoffs, and that the preferred playoff opponent would have been the New York Mets, who had choked basically for the second year in a row, and the only real challenge in playing the Mets is getting past Johan Santana a couple of times in the playoffs. Other than that, you would have rather played the Mets rather than the Dodgers. And for whatever reason, this Cub team, as it was constituted, could not get its mojo back for the playoffs, and for whatever reason, they weren't playoff ready mentally. Of course, having Alfonso Soriano in his all-or-nothing style as the leadoff man, starting the lineup when you need to be able to scratch out runs. You need to be able to play small ball. And Soriano has no B game. He can't take two and hit to right. So if Soriano's not hot hitting home runs all over the place, he's useless to you as the leadoff man in a short playoff series.
The one stat I kept hearing after the playoff collapse was this is not a good two-out team. I want to say the Cubs were batting something like 220 with two out. It was like 30th or 29th in all of baseball.
I don't know if that's the case. They were a great offensive team, a great clutch-hitting team. I think, though, my source said that when James Loney hit that grand slam off Ryan Dempster, they were only behind 4-2 in the fifth inning, and during the regular season, nobody was bothered by a two-run deficit in the fifth inning at Wrigley Field in front of a huge crowd. The Cubs usually came back and won those games, but the dugout was dead. There was no reason for it to be dead, and so the team attitude, the way they approached the way they handled their at-bats, the composition of the lineup, that responsibility is back on the manager, and that's why I'm saying Lou Piniella has to change his style and incorporate the mental aspects of the game a little bit more, and he has to get more involved in the day-to-day doings of his team. He says you can't take the daily temperature of the clubhouse, otherwise you'd be fodder for the psychiatrist. But I'm not even sure if Lou Piniella ever took the temperature of his clubhouse. I'd like to see him once in a while in that clubhouse talking to an Aramis Ramirez or talking to a Ryan Theriot. I know he told me, and it's reflected in Sweet Lou and the Cubs, when I was a player, Lou said, I didn't want the manager in my face all the time. No, you don't have to be in the player's face, but talk to him just enough to get to know him. And I'll give you an example on my part. A few years ago, we all were cringing when LaTroy Hawkins would blow games right and left as the Cubs closer. We knew he was a good setup man, but not suited for a closer. Well, when you talk to LaTroy in the clubhouse, he could be an engaging guy, but one part of him was very defensive, very suspicious, even a little paranoid. And that type of player is not suited for the pressure of working in the ninth inning where one pitch means the game. So you need to talk to the players and get to know them one-on-one as people, as I've done as a reporter over a 30-year period.
Yeah,
the manager has to do that too, and can't just pick up stuff from what his coaches say or occasionally bringing the player into your office. Have some casual one-on-one conversations with the players.
Yeah, one thing I think you do well with your books is getting access to other people to tell the story. You know, you really make the fan and the reader feel like an insider. How do you maintain the ability to do that in a changing game? Clubhouses are different, personalities are different. Your approach still gets the same results. Why is that, you think?
You have to be in that clubhouse early and often. You have to be there every day, and I had the good fortune of covering them for a newspaper for the last 15 years. That may be changing this year, but I will still be in that clubhouse for the majority of games.